This farmer had an excellent year. The harvest is bigger than expected. You would think he would be happy, celebrating with extra income. But look at his face. He's stressed. Why? Because when all farmers harvest well at the same time, something unexpected happens. The price of rice crashes. He ends up earning less money, not more. The more rice he harvests, the less money he makes. This is a paradox. Today, we'll explain why this happens. We call it the elasticity problem. Understanding this concept will change how you think about markets, pricing, and even your own career. Let's think about rice consumption. How much rice does an average person eat per day? The typical person eats about 3 bowls. Now, if the price of rice drops dramatically, do you eat 6 bowls instead? No, you still eat 3 bowls. The low price doesn't make you eat more because your body has limits. This is called inelastic demand. The price changes a lot, but the quantity people buy stays almost the same. Why is rice inelastic? First, it's a necessity, a staple food with no reasonable substitute. You can't replace rice with cake for every meal. Second, rice is already cheap. Even if the price doubles, people still buy it because the alternative is not eating. Third, there's a physical limit. You simply can't eat 10 bowls of rice a day just because it's cheap. Now, compare this to elastic demand, like for motorcycles. If motorcycle prices drop 30%, suddenly many people want to buy them. Demand is elastic because there are alternatives, like taking a bus, and it's an optional purchase you can delay. A big discount changes behavior. Let's calculate what happens to our farmer. In a normal year, he produces 100 tons of rice. The market price is $8,000 per kilogram. That's 100,000 kilograms times 8,000, giving 800 million in total revenue. After 400 million in production costs, his profit is 400 million. He's happy. Now, let's look at a good harvest year. He produces 150 tons, 50% more. But because all farmers had a good harvest, supply surges. Since demand is inelastic, people don't eat more. To sell all this extra rice, the price must drop. The new market price is 5,000 per kilogram. So, let us calculate again. 150,000 kilograms times 5,000 equals 750 million in revenue. Production costs increase to 500 million because he's producing more. His profit is now only 250 million. He produced 50% more rice, but his profit dropped significantly. Here's what happened on the supply-demand chart. In a normal year, supply and demand were stable, with an equilibrium price of 8,000. In the good harvest year, supply shifted to the right, but inelastic demand didn't move. The result is a massive surplus of rice. To clear this surplus, the price had to crash from 8,000 to 5,000. In extreme cases, prices drop so low that it is cheaper for farmers to let the rice rot than to harvest it. This problem has broader consequences. First, it creates income instability for farmers. Good harvest years can mean less money, while bad years might mean more. Second, it leads to a rural exodus. Farmers' children see the unpredictability and move to cities for stable jobs, leaving rural areas with an aging population. Third, it risks our food security. If farmers get discouraged and plant less, we could face shortages and price spikes. And fourth, it widens the urban-rural inequality as city dwellers enjoy cheap rice while the farmers who grew it suffer. So, how do governments try to solve this? One approach is supply management, where they encourage farmers to plant less to prevent a surplus. The trade-off is that this creates artificial scarcity and higher prices for consumers. Another solution is a price support or price floor. The government guarantees a minimum price and buys any surplus rice from farmers. This secures farmer income, but it costs the government money for storage, and some of the stockpiled rice might spoil. A third approach is creating value-added products. Instead of selling raw rice, it can be processed into flour, oil, or premium products. These have more elastic demand, meaning they can generate higher revenue from the same amount of grain. Fourth, farmers can form cooperatives to reduce middlemen, selling more directly to consumers. This allows both farmers and consumers to get a better price. Lastly, there's exporting. While domestic demand is limited and inelastic, international markets for premium rice can be elastic, providing a new source of revenue. The concept of elasticity applies to many other products. Inelastic goods are necessities with few substitutes, like salt, sugar, cooking oil, gasoline, and utilities. Price changes don't much affect how much we buy. This is why governments often tax these goods to raise revenue. People will buy them anyway. Elastic goods are luxuries with many substitutes, like fancy cars, vacation travel, and restaurant meals. Price changes cause big shifts in demand. If a government wants to reduce consumption of something, taxing elastic goods is effective because people will simply choose a cheaper alternative. For example, high taxes on cigarettes are meant to discourage smoking. However, because nicotine is addictive, the demand is somewhat inelastic. So while it raises huge tax revenues, it might not reduce smoking as much as intended. So, why does elasticity matter to you personally? Imagine you own a coffee shop. If you raise your prices, you need to know how elastic the demand is. If it's elastic, a small price hike could cause a large drop in customers and your revenue will fall. If you're investing in an agricultural company and global prices for their crop drop, understanding the demand elasticity will tell you if the company's revenue will crash or just dip slightly. Even in career planning, this concept is useful. Skilled trades like electricians or plumbers have relatively inelastic demand. People always need repairs, making for stable income. Tech jobs, on the other hand, often have more elastic demand, leading to higher pay in good times, but also more vulnerability during economic downturns. So, let's recap the 5 key takeaways. 1. Elasticity measures how responsive quantity is to price changes. 2. Necessities have inelastic demand. 3. Luxuries have elastic demand. 4. Inelastic demand plus a supply surge equals a price crash, explaining our farmer's paradox. And 5. Elasticity is a crucial tool for business, policy, and personal finance. Our farmer now understands that a good harvest doesn't always mean good fortune. With this knowledge, he can plan better for the future. Thank you for learning economics with us. Subscribe for more episodes where we explore real-world economic challenges.